So first part of our meeting today is for tutorial on that topic, fundamental principles of professional ethics. The tutorial will at least expose us to likely questions in that area. And it is also for preparation towards the quiz on Thursday. And after that, we will use the remaining hours to introduce a new topic. It's actually a continuation of the professional ethics. We will be looking at what ethical issues that the auditor should adhere to when it is accepting a new client. Not only accepting a new client, in some cases, whether you have to even keep continuing the audit of an existing client. Because ethical implications have so much to do when it comes to ensuring audit quality. The auditor needs to, at the end of the day, carry out a very professional quality work, which will go to affect the audit opinion, and therefore whatever decisions that people will make. And the part that belongs to the auditor, the auditor's ethical behavior, the auditor's ethical position needs to be always assessed. The auditor needs to always do that, so that if there are some ethical complications and they cannot be mitigated, then the auditor should decline the acceptance of the audit, so that at the end of the day, whoever wins that audit is expected to do a quality work and comes out with a quality opinion. So that's the second part of it that we'll be trying to do. If you're not able to exhaust that topic, we'll do as much as we can and continue later. So let's look at the first part, which is the tutorial. So I think for the tutorial, I will need let me see. I'm coming, give me a few minutes. Okay, so I think I can share my screen now. Okay, hope everybody can see my screen now. Hello, are you here?
Yes, sir, you can see.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
So I was saying that the first part of our meeting is going to be a tutorial on professional ethics, and we want to kind of see how a question in this area generally will look like. And it is also going to serve as a preparation for the impending exam. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take a question And the other time I was telling you of the need to use the information on the website. I have put everything there. So I'm going to go to your website. The website, and pick the question from the website. So can you see the screen still?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir, you can see the screen.
I am first coming to the Google Classroom page because I've also linked the website to the Google Classroom. Right. I'm in the middle of an online class right now, but maybe for them. All right, Mr. Me mobi Sunday me momo any physical money. And I started class no crowd anka me jana me for them. Today me no cause is going into the recording. Very unprofessional. Okay. Sorry for that. So on your Google Classroom page, you will see that I've been sending a lot of things. If you go to the stream, when you scroll, one of the first things I posted on the platform is course materials. And then under the course materials, you will see this link. When you click on this link, it's a link to my site. The website will open, and it will open to the specific page, the specific web page for this course, ACC 403, Audit and Internal Review. When you scroll down, you will see these folders for, multiple things. What we are interested in today is the tutorials. So I just put the tutorial questions here. And you click on it, it will open my drive, and then you see the question. You can download it, you can, preview it, and then that's all. So when I download, or when I open, it's actually opening, it's not downloading. This is how you will see it. And this is the question we are going to use for the tutorial. We are going to discuss this. I hope I'll get the control to zoom. Any question? Hello?
Yes, we said the thing is not that clear.
Sir, it's not too clear.
It's not too clear, right?
We can't see anything. We just see another.
Can you see my page?
Okay, sir, if you zoom,
You can see the page, but the text is small.
Yeah,
Is
you
the-
can see the text.
But the text is small. Okay, so let me see if I can zoom.
So I think they can also zoom from their side. They should just zoom, it will come.
Okay, so you can also zoom your screen as I try to see if I can zoom from here.
Okay, if you use your two hands on your
So try to zoom from your side. I'm also trying to do same thing here if we can achieve something.
Zoom from your side.
Zoom from your side, please. Are you getting some improvement? Because
Yes,
okay. And like I said, the question is already in your folder as I showed you. But if you are using a mobile device, you cannot view the two things at the same time. If you are using a laptop, you can open the website on a different tab and get access to that question alongside your video and follow. If you are using a mobile device, that may be a little bit difficult to do. So what you have to do is immediately after the discussion, you can go and get the question and run yourself through it again to get it solidified. Okay. So this is the question. Let me quickly read through the question. You can follow along with the reading I'm going to do. After that, I'll give like 5 minutes for everybody to go through it by himself or by herself. Okay. Please, if you are not commenting or answering any question, have your microphones off, please. Just to bring sanity to the room. Hello, those who have their microphones on, please, can you put them off? Okay, so I'm reading through the question. You are an audit manager, and I told you audit questions are always like this. You are. The you here, the you here refers to you, each one of you. So don't think it is referring to some unknown you. It is yourself. Okay. Who is trying to edit the page? Stop trying to do anything like that. Pius Agblevo. Pius, you are trying to edit my page. Okay, so let me just go ahead and read the question. You are an audit manager of Okansi & Co. Please have your microphones off. Otherwise, I'll take you away from the class. You are an audit manager of Okansi & Co. and you have just been assigned the audit of Primewood Company, simply referred to as Primewood. So the audit firm is Okansi & Co. and the audit client is Primewood. Primewood is a listed company and provides investment advice to individuals. That's the job it does, investment advice. It is regulated by the relevant Financial Conduct Authority. So here in Ghana, it is regulated by the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, and maybe also regulated by the Bank of Ghana because it's an investment and it falls under the domain, the jurisdiction of Bank of Ghana. Mr. Okansi, a partner in Okansi & Co., has been the audit management partner for Primewood for the previous 9 years and has excellent knowledge of the client. Mr. Okansi has informed you, and this you is you, has informed you that he would like his son, because you were the audit manager, so this you refers to you as the audit manager. Mr. Okansi has informed you as the audit manager that he would like his son, Kofi, to be part of the audit team this year. And Kofi is currently studying for his first set of fundamental papers for his ACCA qualification or ICAG qualification. In an initial meeting with the finance director of Primewood, you learned that the audit team will not be entertained on Primewood's yacht this year. Instead, the finance director has arranged a balloon flight costing less than 1/10 of the expense of using the yacht, and hopes this will be acceptable. Okansi & Co. has always carried out tax advisory work for Primewood. The tax advisory services do not have an impact on the figures reported in the financial statements. The finance director has stated that he feels strongly that the firm that offers taxation services this year should charge a fee which is based on a percentage of tax saved. He also trusts that your firm will accept a fixed fee for representing Primewood in a dispute regarding the amount of sales tax payable to the taxation authorities. From a review of the information above, you have identified the following as the potential risks to independence in respect of the audit of Primewood. A. Mr. Okansi would like his son, Kofi, to be part of the audit team. B. Audit team to be offered a balloon flight. C. Tax fee to be based on a percentage of tax saved. D. Audit firm to represent Primewood in a dispute with tax authorities. E. Mr. Okansi has remained the audit engagement partner for 9 years. Your audit assistant, Mr. Sapon, does not understand how the above issues represent threats to independence. Required. For each of the above issues, explain to your audit assistant how they represent threats and which type of threats to independence. So I'm just trying to bring in a small dimension to the question. Because it's a tutorial, it has to be expansive to cover other areas. So requirement I, for each of the above issues, explain to your audit assistant the kind of threat that those issues pose and how those issues represent those threats that you think they pose. And the II part is, for each threat, explain how it could be reduced to an acceptable level. You can forget about the marks that are allocated to it. This is an open discussion. So that's the question. I'm giving you 5 minutes, please. Oh, 5 minutes maybe. Okay, 5 minutes is okay. I wonder how you can scroll from your side. So read. Can you view it? Are you seeing this?
We can view it, but we can't scroll it. That is the reason we get the last one. So let's continue for us.
Okay, so everybody read. Let's read the top part. I mean the first paragraph. And when we are done, I will scroll. I just want everybody to have his own reading of it. So when you finish the first paragraph, you just give me. Can I scroll?
Not just almost. Yes, we can scroll.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so now let's go to the second paragraph. Second and third. We can read all of them together. Can I scroll?
That's it. Yes, you can scroll.
Okay. If you think I should wait, you can speak for me to wait. So for now I'm scrolling because nobody is saying I shouldn't scroll. Okay, so
You can scroll.
okay. Good. So that is the question, and this is the requirement for each of the above issues. So the question is basically talking about threats to independence and objectivity. Threats to independence and objectivity of the auditor. So you find spots of things that can spell threats to the independence and the objectivity of the auditor. And at this point, you should be able to find the threats. We learned the threats in groups. So self-interest threats, familiarity threats, self-review threats, advocacy threats, intimidation threats. So any piece that you find to be a threat, you should be able to connect where it belongs. And sometimes, depending on how the thing features, what is a threat, maybe self-interest threats, can again be a familiarity threat. It depends on how you argue how that threat can be this and at the same time be that as well. Okay, so that's what you have to understand just right from the beginning.
So if that can be a self-interest and you write is that okay? Or that's right?
Please come again.
Actually, if you read the like self-interest, and you write is that okay? Or you have to pick one?
No, you have to describe both. You have to describe it just anyhow you see it, but your explanation should be clear for everybody to understand that this is how, in this case, it is a self-interest threat. And this is how also it is, in this case, a self-review threat, for example. Do you get it?
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
So it's the explanation that is the most important. You need to justify why, in this instance, you are thinking it is self-review, and in another circumstances, it is maybe self-interest. Okay. So since we've all gone through the question together, let's just do justice to the questions. For each of the above, this question is a little straightforward. For some questions, there will be no itemizations. See here, there were some itemizations A to E, which is kind of summarizing all the issues into these points. So you can pick the points and then talk about it in terms of what threat it is and how it is that threat. And lastly, we come and talk about how we can mitigate that threat. So this is very straightforward. For most questions, you will not see this part of the question, these itemizations. You will not see it. It will just be in. So it's your job to spot this and spot all of these itemizations. It's your job. And describe what threats they are and how they are those threats. So now that this question is straightforward, we have these itemizations. It's also good for us as first time of doing tutorial, so that by this framework we're able to see how even yourself you have to itemize the issues into these points to help your answering of the question. So let's answer the question straightforward. For each of these items, you pick one. You mention your name first to me, I'll call you, and you tell us what threat, if it is self-interest threat, self-review threat, advocacy threat, whatever threat, and how and why it is that threat you think it is. If there is no threat associated with it at all, you can also say you don't see any threat with it. It is a forum. We are just brainstorming, just taking ideas, so everybody should feel comfortable to talk. I am not marking your answers as right or wrong and grading you on them. No, so don't feel afraid. Okay, so who wants to start? This time I need equal representation in the house. The females, I don't know whether they don't come to class or they decide not to talk. Last week I called several names and all of them were absent. Please, when we do that, it will go to affect our exam. Okay, so who wants to talk? Please, if you want to talk, just mention your name. Let's know you.
Sir, please, for the A.
Please, what's the name? What's your name? What's your name?
Please, my name is Ruth.
Ruth.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ruth, let's listen to you.
Sir, please, for the A. I think it's a self-interest threat.
Okay, self-interest. Good. Please go ahead.
Because he wants a close family member to be on the audit team. Since he has actually audited a company for more than 9 years, the fact that his son Kofi is also about to write his qualification, for his ACCA qualification. That way, when he's done, he could secure a place in the audit team to continue after he's actually done with his service or maybe something like that.
Okay, so that is what Ruth is saying. He sees Mr. Okansi wanting his son Kofi to be part of the audit team is a threat to independence of the audit team, and maybe Mr. Okansi is the audit partner to Mr. Okansi himself as an audit partner, and it will disturb the audit work. And he sees it as self-interest because he thinks he wants to find something for his son. He wants to use the medium to help his son, and therefore it is self-interest. How do you also see it?
Sir.
Yes, your name, please.
Sir. Lisbeth.
Lisbeth. Okay, Lizzie, talk.
Sir. Please, I want to take the C.
Okay, you want to talk about the C.
The tax fee to be based on percentage of tax paid.
Okay, let's hear you.
Yes. Please, I think that one is intimidation.
Okay, how is it so?
I think that one is related to intimidation threat.
Okay, so
Because
why? Okay,
Because with them charging a tax fee to the audit team based on the tax that they are going to save, it is going to affect the objectivity of their opinion.
okay, that's good.
Hello.
So,
Sir.
yes, madam.
Sir.
Hello, I'm listening, please.
Hello.
Hello, we are listening.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, sir. Sir. Hey, my network.
Your network is very terrible.
Oh.
But we have heard you 100%. So try to reposition yourself if you can get.
Sir, please, my network.
Yes, but you have been able to communicate everything. We have heard you. Thank you very much.
Sir, my network. Ooh. It's not good.
Okay, class. I hope we all heard her, right? We heard her. Yes, we heard her. These are the challenges you go through if you are doing online lessons in Ghana. Networks are always bad. Okay, so she's saying that for the tax fee to be based on percentage of tax saved, he is capturing it as an intimidation threat. The other time we explained what intimidation is. Not necessarily a physical threat like someone having a gun on your head or someone going to juju you or that. Intimidation can come in the form of blackmailing or something like that. And that's exactly what we are seeing here. What she said is very true. So for the client to say that, okay, I want to give you this consultancy work, but you will be paid based on how much tax you save. That will kind of tie the auditor's mind to the money he will receive. And even where it is impossible to save, mind you, people can be very magical when it comes to money. Once he wants to get that money, some money, he will try to save what is not savable. And that is a threat. It's intimidation threats if the client poses that kind of takes that kind of position that the auditors will be paid based on the tax savings they do. I wanted us to talk a little bit about what Ruth said, the first person who talked about the self-interest threats when it comes to the point A, Mr. Okansi wanting to have his son Kofi to be on the audit team. We heard what Ruth said clearly. I want to know your opinion in terms of whether you have something to add to what he said or you have a different opinion and you want us to know about that one. So it's a question to the whole class.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please, the name.
Sir, my name is Musa.
Yeah, Musa, let's hear you.
Please, I was also thinking it would be a familiarity threat.
Okay, so let's see how you also think that way.
Sir, please, from what you read, it seems the fact that Mr. Kensi is an engagement partner and then allowing his son to be a member of the audit team will result in familiarity.
How?
And as a result, it will hinder the objectivity of the activities that they will perform.
Okay, we heard you clear that you said that will cause familiarity threat. How is it going to cause familiarity threat? And let me remind you one
In the
thing.
first place, his dad is
Your answers must always bring out the issues. That is where your marks are. If you speak on the surface without hitting the point, you might lose most of your marks. Okay, so explain how it is.
the dad.
Please, we are listening to
So
you.
please, the dad wants his son to be part of the audit team. Yes, and in the first place, Mr. Kansi is part of the engagement partnership. So allowing his daughter son to be part of the auditing will result in familiarity. And the reason being that even though there is a close relationship, that could also lead to a self-interest, that she said earlier. But then because his dad is a part of the engagement partnership, I think we can also look at this from the viewpoint of familiarity.
Okay, so what do you mean by engagement partnership? We want to understand you clearly, because if you had written
I want to go to the question. There's been I can't put. Question number 12.
Okay, so please, let's come back to the question. I was asking you, please, let's pay attention. I was asking you of what you mean by engagement partnership. That was Musa, right? Musa?
Sir, please, I want to go to. Yes, please. I want to go from the passage, but then the screen I can't put. That's why I'm silent.
Okay, so should I scroll up more? You tell me where to stop.
So
This is where Mr. Kansi has informed you that he
please
would
go
like
to where Mr. Kensi, a partner. So please, Mr. Kensi, a partner in Okansko, has been the audit engagement partner for Prime Wood for the previous 9 years.
Okay.
And then allowing his daughter to be also member of the audit team. That's why I was saying it could also be a familiarity threat.
So now the new question I'm asking you is, I'm picking your words, you are going to write. So we are doing this as a learning exercise. We are going to write based on cases. Your understanding of the language in auditing who are those people talking behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. So you were saying that you made mention of engagement partnership. Let me take the opportunity to explain. The other time I explained it. In an audit firm, the structure is like this. When they are going to audit a client, they take a team for that audit client. So let's say if we are an audit firm, if this client is an audit firm, and we are auditing universities, I used this same example the other time. Then, when we are going to audit UCC, at the same time, we may be auditing Legon and the rest. So we divide ourselves into teams. And these teams, each one is called engagement team or audit team. And they are for separate audits and separate audit clients. So the team for the audit of Primewood constitutes an audit team or audit engagement team. And each team has a leader. The leader appropriately must be an audit partner. An audit partner is the highest position in the audit firm. If an audit partner is not there, then maybe an audit manager can be there. But appropriately, there should be an audit partner. For this particular engagement team, the team going to Primewood, the audit partner is Mr. Okansi. And he has been the team leader for the audit of Primewood for the past 9 years. I want you to get the language right, because when you are writing, sometimes the sense is there, but the usage of the terminologies blurs everything, and it will go to affect your marks. And it even affects your understanding of the whole thing. Okay, so Mr. Okansi is the leader of the engagement team, or the audit team going to Primewood. And the team that is going there, it will be a team, so he is the leader, maybe plus one audit manager, some audit seniors, and his son, who is writing his ACCA papers, he wants him to join as an audit junior. Okay, let's read that part. Mr. Gandhi has informed you that he would like his son Kofi to be part of the audit team this year. Kofi is currently studying his first set of fundamental papers, ACC. So the question was not too clear as to whether Kofi was joining as audit junior. And your argument should reflect this. If Kofi, because he's not even qualified, is now writing his fundamental papers, if he is made to join as audit junior, that may not pose any threat. Because if you go to most audit firms like KPMG and other things, they recruit graduates and people who are yet to complete their papers, who are still writing. And they join the audit as audit juniors. They learn through the audit work. The fact that Kofi is Mr. Kansi's son, if Kofi is a junior member of the audit team, I don't see any threat that it poses. If even there is any threat, that threat is quite insignificant. But because the question is silent about how he is joining, is it as audit junior or as senior or as audit manager, then you can come in with your discussion that, on the other hand, if Kofi is joining not as audit senior, audit junior, but senior and above, because his father is the partner and maybe the father is bullying things through, then that can pose threats, because the higher your position in the team, the more your effect on the audit opinion that will come out in the end. Is that okay? Please, have you understood what I'm trying to say? All right. So, Musa, your point was familiarity threat, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so in this case, once we are trying to understand how the structure is like, in this case, Kofi is not in the audit client. Kofi is not working in Primewood, where Ms. Okansi, please, your noise, why? Can't you just be a little bit disciplined to put your microphone off immediately you finish speaking? Yeah, Simon. So in this case, familiarity threat comes in where it normally comes in this form. In the audit client, in the company that the audit firm is going to audit, there is someone there, someone of some senior position who relates so closely to a senior member in the audit team. So for example, you can find something like in this case, let's use Kofi. So let's say Kofi works at Primewood and Kofi is deputy finance director and Mr. Okansi is the father to Kofi. And Mr. Okansi is going to audit Primewood, where Kofi is the deputy finance director. Mr. Okansi is a family member to Kofi. Kofi is a family member to Mr. Okansi. In fact, Mr. Okansi's son is Kofi. In that case, you see that closeness, that family relation. In this case, that's not what it is. So you should be able to itemize the issues clearly. And I can understand why in the meantime the responses are like this. There has not been enough critical reading to bring out the issues out for yourselves. You have not been reading. If you have been reading, you have not been reading the level that you should be reading. So the things are appearing blurred. So sometimes you mix things with things. So in this case, it doesn't create that kind of threat, that familiarity threat. They are all in the same, Kofi and his father are in the same firm going to audit. So it's not going to be like, oh, I'm familiar with someone on the opposite side. So because I'm familiar with a person and I'm going to audit the person, I can't be fair. It's not like that. And second, if even Kofi happens to be working in Primewood, which Mr. Okansi is going to audit, if Kofi is, say, entry-level employee, so Kofi is like a junior, one of the very junior staff of the company, the fact that he is a son to Mr. Okansi and Mr. Okansi is going to audit that company will still not pose any serious threats. Because junior staff, so let's take this university. And let's say I am Mr. Okansi, I'm the partner. And my son works in UCC as a cleaner. Or he works at UCC as grounds worker, those who weed the bush. The fact that my son is working in UCC and I'm going to audit UCC. Look at the job that my son does. How is my son's job at UCC going to have that influence of the fact that because he's my son, I'm not going. My son's position doesn't influence any bigger issue in UCC. My son is a cleaner. My son's position in UCC does not involve any of the higher issues at UCC, and most especially the preparation of the financial statement. He has nothing to do with it. He's a very junior staff. Even though he's my son and he's in the company I'm going to audit, because of the position that he holds, it still doesn't pose any significant threat. So you have to look at the positions of the people involved. I'm still talking about familiarity threats. The positions of the people involved, their position should be of senior nature so that they can influence things to go this way or that way. If Kofi had been the deputy finance director of UCC and I am going to audit the UCC, then that's a big issue. Because what Kofi my son then, the position he holds, he wields power. He can influence things to be done in certain ways which may be selfish for him. And because he's my son, if I happen to say it, maybe I will go for family at the expense of the client and the profession and the general public. Please, am I making some sense?
Yes, please.
I hope.
Yes, sir.
I hope everybody is listening. Are we all listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My
Yes, sir.
connection went off for a while. Yes. I'm back.
Okay. And please, let's try to put our microphones off once we finish speaking. So that is how it is not. That particular point is not a familiarity threat. And I've also taken the opportunity to explain how familiarity threats can feature. Okay, so let's make a point. Still on the point that the first person made, he said self-interest. It has some element of self-interest because my son, maybe I want my son to know something. It's in my interest for my son to know something. But let's look at it. I've explained how you have to argue. The question is silent about the position of Kofi, but it can be assumed that because he is even writing his fundamentals, he will join as audit junior. If he joins as an audit junior, because his position has less on the opinion, on the outcome of the audit work, any risk that it poses is very small. But if Kofi, the same Kofi happens to be, if per his qualification, his father makes him to work as if he is audit manager or some audit senior, then that can pose threat. The threat that it can pose can even be the fact that because of his qualification and the senior position he's been given, he can mess things up and it will go to affect the audit opinion. And this will be purely self-interest. He's doing that because the boy is his son. Yeah, but if he's an audit junior, the question is, if you have, right now, all of you, if you own a job, and your son vacates from university, and he has to be doing some attachments. Let's say you are the CEO in the job. Will you send your child to somewhere else because you are the CEO and people will say that, oh, you are bringing your child in? No, that's not what it normally works out. But if your child, he just vacated from university, he's not even finished university. If you make him come and do attachment, but he comes to act as if he is deputy CEO because you are the father, then that is a problem. So you have to, at this level, you have to be very argumentative and very discursive. You should desist from picking things straight from the passage without bringing any analysis to it. If you're able to do like I'm saying, then we are growing. We are now moving from the knowledge type of learning, the record type, into analytical, into skill level. We're able to apply the knowledge to situations and analyze and explain how they should be in different situations. And that is very key at your level of learning, level 400 degree. Okay, so that's okay. So we've talked about item A as self-interest, and we have explained how you have to argue your point, where it can be self-interest and where it may not pose any threat. And then someone also talked about tax fee based on percentage of tax saved as intimidation. Someone is editing my sheet. Who is doing that? Just view the screen. Who is deleting what I am showing? Okay. So that's for the tax fees based on tax percentage of tax saved. It is quite an intimidation threat. What again? Just anybody at all can talk. What again? Pick any of the items. It can even be one of the things we have talked about. If you think a different thing or you want to add something, talk. I'm listening to the class, please. This is tutorial. I am not lecturing.
Hello, sir.
Please, the name.
Please, Teresa.
Yeah, Tess. Let's listen to you.
Please, the E.
The E.
Yes, I think it's a familiarity trait.
Okay, so explain why you think the way you are thinking.
Okay, so for Mr. Okransi to have remained the auditor, the audit engagement partner for 9 years, there is the likelihood that he has known the company for quite a long period of time. And so now there is some kind of familiarity with the company in the sense that, how should I even? In the sense that he now knows the people in the company. So he has established some sort of relationship with them. And so if there should be any disclosure or if he should come out with some information that will tarnish the image of the company, he might not do it due to the close relation they've developed because of familiarity. So it will be a threat to his independence.
100%. That's good.
Thank you.
That's very good. So Mr. Okansi has remained the audit partner for 9 years. A lot of years. The other time when we were discussing generically the threat, we said that, safeguards. We said that we can, to stop this kind of threat happening, we can rotate. For listed firms like this one, the case is a listed firm. The partner can audit or he can be on the engagement team continuously for a maximum of how many years?
5 years.
5 years. And there has to be a fallow period. So 5 years maximum. So we can even do better. Maybe 2 years, then we change it. You go a different place, another person come. So you don't develop that extreme familiarity. Just think about it. Part of the case, it was mentioned that the people used to take the audit team, Mr. Okansi and his team members, in the company's yacht. And It's part of the treats they give them. It's part of the hospitality, which is very expensive hospitality. And if you have been enjoying these things, and you can imagine when they are in the yard, what the chief executive officer of Primewood, the finance director of Primewood will be talking, what they'll be talking with Mr. Okansi, the audit partner. They will be laughing, ha, escafol laughter, ha, 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 ha. And once they begin to be friends, they might even be discussing business opportunities. We are human beings. That's how we do things. They'll be discussing, things that they can possibly do together to enhance each person's position. And that can breed into very complex familiarity. Sometimes friends, they become bonded as if they are family members. And it can even grow to the extent that Mr. Okansi's son Kofi can marry the CEO's daughter. It happens a lot. You can come to this university. This university is a university of a family network. This person marries this person, and so on and so forth. So they are connected together family-wise, and it happens. So that can generate familiarity. Familiarity from this angle, auditing for 9 years, can breed so many levels of familiarity. It can even make it complex. Now they are marrying, their sons and daughters are marrying. They are even doing some business venture together, and so on and so forth. So familiarity, and it is even breeding into self-interest threats when they begin to do some joint venture together, blah blah blah. Now Mr. Okansi becomes interested in the profit from the joint venture, self-interest, and so on and so forth. So I'm doing all this long talk because I want you to understand that audit is not like, oh, it is this. It's not like mathematics. Well, okay, in this particular case, this is the formula that applies. It can be highly dynamic and depends on your ability to pick issues and look at them through different angles. So just like this familiarity, Mr. Okansi being on the audit team for 9 years, just picking that one, you can discuss it, and it is very possible. It's very possible that 9 years of being on the engagement team will not breed only familiarity threats. If their familiarity has grown into where they have business ventures together, then that business thing they have together can bring in an element of financial interest, self-interest. And some cases can hint you a little bit, and it is your job to be able to bring all these issues out in that separate manner. And then you win 100% because your explanation is straight on point. But if you are discussing it and you are mixing the words and you discuss it shallow, you may not earn all the marks. So I want all of us to please read. Now my gauging of how much we are reading based on the responses, like maybe we are not even up to the middle. Please, so we have to be reading. I have given the book out, the textbook out, right from the beginning of the semester. That is always there. It is there in your palm. Through your mobile phone, you can be accessing. Even when you are sitting on a toilet bowl, you can be reading. When you are in a car, you are not driving yourself. Maybe traveling from here to Accra or from here to Kumasi. Instead of sleeping or WhatsApping unnecessarily, you can be reading through it. The more you read, the more the knowledge comes to you, the more you become analytical, the more you become understandable of the things you are reading. Please, let's do it like that. Okay, thank you very much. What was the name? The person who just spoke, the lady.
Please, Teresa.
Yeah, Tess. So
Please,
now let's
Teresa.
let's talk about. You can also pick anyone. It can be any of the things that someone has already talked about. But if you're thinking about it in a different angle, you can pick it and talk to us. We are discussing.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir. Please, the name.
All right. So I'm Robert.
Robert, let's listen to you.
All right. So I'm picking the D.
So say
and
what
it's
is
an
there. When you pick D, say what is there and explain.
all right. So it's an advocacy threat,
Okay.
and it is an advocacy threat because first of all, it is not the duty of the auditing firm to do tax. Like they are not into tax. So standing in for the firm for a dispute that the firm has with the tax authority is like they are standing in for the tax for the firm. So it's a kind of advocacy. They are advocating on behalf of the firm.
Okay, thank you. I think it's okay. Who has something to say or add to what he said?
Sir.
The name.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please. The name.
Isahaku.
Isahaku, let's listen to you.
Yes, I also think it's advocacy threat, please. Sorry for that. And I also say is that because we realize that the firm is supposed to calculate their pay from the tax that they save. So if they are the same people that are going to represent the firm with the tax authorities, they can decide to do, or they can decide to maybe steal something and then they'll go and defend themselves with the tax authorities. So I also think it's advocacy threat, please.
Okay, thank you. Please, what do you also have to say? Let's have as many people as possible to say something.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Please, the name.
This is Pius, sir.
Yeah, Pius.
Yeah, I think with the B audit team to be offered a balloon flight.
Okay, so before we come to that, please. Okay, you speak. We'll come back.
Okay. I don't think it's supposed to be a threat in the sense that when we look at the second paragraph.
Okay, so let me.
I think the second paragraph. The second paragraph, it says, in an initial meeting with the finance director of Primewood, you learned that the audit team will not be entertained on Primewood's yacht this year. Instead, he has arranged a balloon flight costing less than 1/10 of the expense of using the yacht and hopes that this will be acceptable. So I believe that since the cost of the balloon flight is much less, way too less than that of using the yacht, I believe it's not a threat. It's not a threat, sir.
Okay, so this is, please, the name. The name again.
Pius, sir, Pius.
Yeah, Pius. Okay, that's a very good point. Who wants to say something about what Pius said? I want someone to talk about what Pius said before we move to another point. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Yes, your name.
Hello,
mention
sir.
your name and go ahead.
Isahaku.
Isahaku, please. Let's listen.
Yes, sir. So I think there's a threat there. The fact that they used to take them on expensive trip, and then now they've reduced the trip. Like, so it's going to be like they're going to feel bad because if, as human beings, if you are being treated well, and the audit firm,
okay,
because they've reduced the gas, like the enjoyment they used to have, they've reduced it. So it's going to make them the enjoyment they used to have. I think they used to take them on a yacht.
Okay.
And now they are going to take them on a balloon flight.
Okay.
Which is costing less than the yacht that they used to take.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to make them feel bad that why this time, why are they taking us on this, on maybe a less expensive trip? So I think they can be.
So what specific threat? Is it going to be self-interest threat?
Self-interest. I think it's self-interest threat.
Okay.
I think it's
so
self-interest.
That is what Issa Haku also thinks. What do you also think? Let's get as
Hello.
many. Yes, please
Hello,
the name.
sir.
Yes, the name.
Teresa.
Yes.
Sir, please, Teresa.
Yes, we are listening.
Okay,
please.
so sir, sir, please, I also think it's an intimidation threat.
Okay.
Because it seems they want to, aside it being self-interest fair, they want to kind of intimidate the audit team. Like, we raised you this high by giving you such gifts, and right now we are bringing you down. And so I think the audit team might feel intimidated that how can you give us this kind of treatment?
So
Sir, please,
how
that's what
does it feature as intimidation? I want that part to come out clearly.
Please, you said.
How does
Hello.
it clearly? How does it clearly portray intimidation? I want that part to come out clear. How does
Okay,
how
sir,
does it
I
portray
think that
intimidation? Let it be explicit how exactly it is intimidation.
I think that it's an intimidation because the audit team will have to lose something, and so if it kind of may sir, please. Intimidation has got to do with you having to lose something. Let's say, for example, a firm, and then you are auditing a big company, and then that company contributes most to the revenue of the audit team.
That is not intimidation per se. That is exclusively self-interest. Intimidation, apart from physical threats, features in the form of blackmailing. Do this before you get this. And I don't see any form of that thing here. Unless you're able to explain to us how you see that.
Sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, my network is started.
Okay, don't worry. So let me take the opportunity to talk about
My
it.
network was cut. So I think. Okay.
Okay. So when you look at, we were talking about audit seemed to be offered a balloon flight, and the first response was no apparent threat because if you look at this balloon flight, previously they were being entertained in a yacht, very expensive yacht, and now they stopped using the yacht. They are doing balloon flights, and the balloon flight is less than 1/10 of the yacht treatment. Sorry. The question is this: it is always about the value of that hospitality. It is the value of that hospitality that will determine whether this is likely to be something to buy your conscience or not. So, if the balloon flight, when we value it, is still some significant value, even though it's a reduction from previous treatment, may still pose threat, and that threat will be a self-interest threat. Entertainment, enjoyment, would you follow that one or you will do your work? If you keep allowing this kind of hospitality to be lavished on you, it will steal your conscience. So that's how come it is threat, and it is self-interest threat. It will make you become self-interested in the flight and the treatment as opposed to being professional. In this case, how you will argue the point is that it is open. So you will say that the reduction from the yacht, which was very expensive, to balloon flight, which is less than 1/10 of the yacht, is a huge improvement. It's a huge improvement. However, if that less than 1/10 still constitutes a substantive amount, because they didn't bring in figures, it is less than 1/10. How about if the yacht treatment, the total cost associated with that one was, let's say, 1 million Ghana cedis? 1/10 of 1 million Ghana cedis is what? The mathematicians, calculate for me. You are doing accounting. 1/10 of 1 million Ghana cedis.
100,000, say.
100,000 Ghana cedis. Okay. And let's say
100,000.
100,000. Let's say the yacht was, let's say, 100 million Ghana cedis. 1/10 will be what? 1/10 of 100.
10 million. 10 million.
That will be 10 million. So you see that depending on the amount involved, the 110 can be very smaller and maybe insignificant. At the same time, it can be very big, even though it is 1/10. 1/10 of a figure they never mentioned. We didn't know the amount of cost involved in the yacht operation. But yacht is very expensive thing. So the values could be very huge, so that the 1/10 could still be a very big figure. The hospitality, the balloon flights, they are all entertainment. They are not part of the audit fee. They are not part payment of the work the auditors are coming to do. It's not part of their pay. It's something that they are just giving to them for free. So it is advised that as an auditor, to maintain your objectivity and independence, don't be taking gifts that are too expensive, because they can buy you. If it is, an ordinary gift, the value is an ordinary thing. That one cannot buy anybody. For example, let's say I go and audit, I'm the audit partner, I go and audit some big company. And the big company, I don't know what I should even use as an example. Let's say that big company produces and sells mobile phones, all the expensive mobile phones in the world. And it has as part of its custom that it gives some type of phones to its employees free. Some companies do that. We sell phones, so every employee will be given phone for free. And if just by that arrangement, the management of the company decides to give you the same kind of phone that they give to the employees, maybe they give to all the audit firm, that may be seen to be an ordinary thing that they do, and it does not communicate anything like, oh, we are giving you this expensive thing so that in case of anything you look at this and save us. It may not speak that thing directly. So it's about the quantum of that gift, that hospitality they are giving you. If it is an ordinary thing and the value is insignificant, no rule, regulation is prohibiting it. Because in life we give things to people, people give things to us. That's a normal part of life. But you have to use your conscience. If they give, let's say, Samsung what? Let's say Samsung A10 to the employees, but only you, the audit partner, and maybe the audit manager, you are giving the latest iPhone. You are giving the latest iPhone. Then that is some preferential treatment. It speaks something. and things like that, the auditor should do well to reject. They should do well to reject. If what they are doing to you is part of an ordinary thing they do to all employees, then no problem about that. But if they treat you in some special way, you have to remember they might seek in buying you through those things. Okay, so the offering of the balloon flight could be a self-interest threat. So you have to argue it on both sides. Where 1/10 of the yard figure is an insignificant amount, that may not pose big threats. It may be treated as a normal hospitality. But even though it is 1/10, if it represents a very huge figure that ordinarily they don't do to their visitors and other people, then that might be a preferential treatment which you have to be worried about as an auditor. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Please, are you with me?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So what again can we say? We have talked about all the items, right? We've talked about Mr. Okansi's son on the audit team and how we can argue it to be a self-interest threat or not. So the question will not be like I told you, like the mathematics type. Okay, in this case, it is only this. This one, it can be this and it can be that, depending on which angle you are looking at it from. So if I'm looking at it from the angle of Kofi joining as an audit junior, I may think that it will not pose much of self-interest threat because, of course, if I'm seeing you and my son is coming to do attachment, it's an ordinary thing. And my son doing attachment as a junior clerk will not have any, he doesn't have any serious influence on any of the major things, any of the decisions in the organization. But if Mr. Okansi had pushed his son, even with that low qualification, to be acting like as if he's an audit manager, then that it clearly features a self-interest thing. So you have to be able to see this. Audit seem to be offered a balloon flight. We just discussed it. Balloon flight, ordinarily, in fact, me, I've not taken a balloon flight before. Who has taken balloon flight before? Is it an expensive thing? But it depends. What is not expensive can be made expensive. It depends on the decorations. But the point we are trying to make here is that if the value that is coming out of this treatment, this hospitality balloon flight, even though it is 1/10 or less than 1/10 of some other figure, if that less than 1/10 still represents some bigger money, which ordinarily, if not you auditors, they wouldn't have lavished to anybody as a hospitality, then you have to be careful. It can represent self-interest threat. On the other hand, if that value is significantly low, it may be treated as a normal gift, which we can say may not pose any threat. Tax fee to be based on percentage of tax saved is clearly an intimidation threat. I explained to you that apart from physical intimidation, intimidation features as blackmailing. Okay, the money we will pay you, you will have to do this. You will have to save us from paying more tax. Then we give you this. That kind of, some sort of blackmailing or some sort of tying the auditor's work to what the client wants is an intimidation threat. And we'll briefly talk about the safeguards, and then we'll close. Firm represent Primewood in a dispute with the tax authorities. This is a clear case of advocacy. Even if the audit firm wasn't preparing tax returns for the client, you still cannot speak for the client what the client has to speak for himself. In that case, you are not doing your job as a referee, a fair referee. You have already taken side with the client, explaining things on behalf of the client. And you will explain to try to make it sensible to the audience, because you explain it as if you're explaining it for yourself. And in this particular case, there was an indication that the client was thinking of giving the tax issues as a consultancy to the auditors. And that's how come they said the fee that they will pay for the tax consultancy should be based on tax saved, the tax that you help the client to save. And if you are also made to be the same person to explain matters to tax authorities, then in fact this is a serious issue. And that is advocacy. Mr. Okansi has remained familiarity, big one. Familiarity, we've already talked about it. Let's briefly talk about the last part of the question. For each thread, explain how it could be reduced to an acceptable level. Those who have not spoken in class, take any one of them that we have discussed. Explain how we can reduce it. And mind you, we can reduce the threat in multiple ways. So if someone says A, you can also say B, another person can say C. Let the class be that discursive. Yes, I'm listening to you. Please, it is already 8 o'clock. Let's be quick to close. I'm supposed to close right now. Did you get a question? So let's take Ms. Okansi. Having Kofi, his son, on the audit team. We have a part where it can represent self-interest. That is, if he forces Kofi into some bigger position in the audit team. How can we reduce that threat? How can that threat be mitigated? Quick. How can that threat be mitigated? Hey, are there no people in the class?
Kofi can be removed from the audit team, or there can be quality control procedures requiring individuals with such relationships to disclose such relationships before they engage in audits.
Hello, sir.
Okay, so I think that the first point is quite good. If Mr. Okansi has forced Kofi into a position he doesn't deserve because he is a son, he has to be removed from that position. Instead of just saying it shouldn't be like dismissal, maybe Kofi could be stepped down to a junior audit position, and that's fine.
Hello.
Yes. The one who said hello, yes, go ahead and talk. Okay, so I hear 2 Are you in class? 10
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
sir.
respond.
Okay, so I would like to take the point D.
Okay, so point D, we know the threat that it is. How can that threat be mitigated? So you can help us to remind us of the kind of threat it is and how we can mitigate it.
Sir, please, we said it was.
I said, or we have agreed.
I
It shouldn't
said.
be like I said. You have also learned. So I have learned that. Put it that way.
Okay, so sir, I have learned that it was how do you call it? Taking me a little bit.
The D. That is advocacy threat.
Advocacy threat, sir. And to mitigate that, it can be the policy of the auditing firm not to engage in such how how do you call it, such engagements on behalf of the firm they are auditing.
So how can you put this in short? This is a very short thing. Don't write many things. So the audit firm should never do that representation. That is the solution.
Okay, sir.
The audit firm should not. This one is a clear. It can never be negotiated in any way. This one you cannot mitigate the threat from any other angle. It is don't do straight. The audit firm should never represent a client in things that the client himself should represent himself. So the audit firm should desist.
Okay,
should just make the client know that it cannot do this. Who else? Augustine Wesania. Augustine Wesania. Are you in class? Let's hear your voice. You are in class, right? So talk.
Yeah. So the point is
Please talk. We are listening and talk out. Everybody is a whole class. Everybody is listening to you. Don't speak as if you are speaking to someone in your room. You are speaking to a large audience, so please speak out. Hey, where are you that you cannot talk?
I'm in the library. I'm using the library Wi-Fi.
You are in the library?
Yeah.
And you are having a tutorial in the library?
I'm using the Wi-Fi.
Okay, let's give the opportunity to a different person. He cannot talk. George Amo? George? Amo George, let's hear your voice. Amo George. Ivy Ametefe. Ivy, are you in class? Ametefe Ivy. Jacob Money. Jacob Money. Joshua Amfo. Josh. Joshua.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so respond.
That's it.
Joshua, we are listening to you. Note, see the time. The time is running. You are in your bedrooms. Do you know where I am? I'm in the office. I have to close and go home. So let's do it quick.
Okay, sir. Talk about me.
Okay, so we are listening. Talk.
Hello, sir.
Who is speaking? Let's see you. Let's hear your name and then you talk.
Hello.
You cannot talk. We will never have an online class again.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, sir, please, this is Eric.
Henry.
Eric,
talk.
Sir, please, I'm taking the B.
Okay.
In a side where we say it may be self-interest threat. So I think if it is self-interest threat, then the gift that is being offered must be documented or recorded on the audit file.
And when they document and record it, how does it mitigate? Do you understand mitigate? How does it reduce the threat?
So when it is recorded, it will show that should, in case if it happens that the gift that was taken serve as a threat to the audit firm, then next time such gift will not be taken again.
Well, that's a point, but I don't think I agree with you. Who wants to talk about that same point? Self-interest threats, balloon flight. If the amount involved is substantial, it constitutes self-interest threats. How can you mitigate, or what can we do to bring that threat down?
Sir, please, this Tenge.
Yeah, Tenge, speak.
Please, with the self-interest threat, I think the best that can be done is to have a policy that would cease the taking of such treats or such how do you call it, gifts, so that the audit team would not be enticed to be biased in any way.
Okay, so we can speak it straightforward. The auditors need to determine, some of these things have to do with judgment, because you cannot have, you can have as a policy as an audit firm, any gift or hospitality above certain value, regardless of how wealthy the company is or how small it is to that company. For you as an audit firm, any hospitality above a certain value, no, you will not receive it. You will tell the client no, unless it is below or at that level. The audit firm can come up with such a policy. Or if it doesn't have such a strict policy, and you know, for example, what is expensive for one company might be very, very, very small for another company. So let's say, for example, the phone example I made. Let's say the company sells phones. They sell maybe cheap phones plus some expensive phones. And then they were giving you the expensive phones as gifts, which signals something that they don't do to just any other person, but maybe they see you as a special person, so they're trying to kind of, it's a way of buying you or making you a little more flexible on them. But let's say another company, they sell all expensive phones. Let's say all the latest iPhones. They sell only iPhones. Then for such a company, any one phone that they will give you is an ordinary phone, because that's the only phone they sell. And if you happen to be giving the same phone to everybody, then in this case, it's not really about the value. It's about the company itself and how wealthy the company is. Some of these complications can come in. So when you're answering such a question, you say that you cannot be too specific. So you can say that if in the policy of the audit firm, the amount, even though it is less than 1/10 of the yard treatment, is still a substantial amount, then the audit team should not accept such an offer, such a hospitality. They should not. You can't do something that will later come and poison you. They should not. Unless it can be judged to be substantially low value, or a value that is an ordinary, that can be seen as an ordinary hospitality or ordinary gift. Okay. Then when we talk about the audit team to be offered balloon, we have talked about it. A balloon flight, that's what we just talked about. Tax fee to be based on percentage of tax saved. The mitigation could be several things. The extreme one could be that the audit team can say, I cannot be you can't say blackmail to, I'm going to stop performing that consultancy, the tax consultant. I'm not going to do it at all to come into the situation of determining my fee based on tax that I save. So that may be the extreme mitigation. Stop doing the the tax consultancy. And that may be the most powerful remedy to the threat or mitigation to the threat. It can also be that the client, the audit firm can explain to the client about the need not to do that, and if they agree, fine. But let's take the position that they don't agree, because they also have what they want. So in this case, the best mitigation mechanism is for the audit firm to decline the non-audit service of tax consultancy. Mr. Okansi has remained the audit engagement partner for 9 years. Mitigation is Mr. Okansi should be moved from this engagement, the engagement of Prime Wood. He should be removed from that team, the team that goes to audit Prime Wood, so that another partner joins. He should be made to join another team to audit a different company. And the company should come up with a policy. Maximum, a partner can be on a specific team for 5 years, after which he has to be rotated. There has to be some follow period. Okay, so these are how you can handle questions in this area. Any question? Any question? No question. So this same question is where I showed you on the website. I showed you how to navigate. And I recorded the lecture, even though it was not too smooth. You don't participate to make the lecture lively. I've still recorded it to put it back there as a backup for revision. And below the video on YouTube, I will also embed the link to the question, so you can also get a question from there. If you don't have any question, this is where we end. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, so that any videos we put there, you can get the direct alert. No question, then this is where we end the lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.